Well, welcome back to New London. You know, today had extra special meaning for one tall ship. The Amistad sailed into New London, second in line in the parade of sail.
And what's very interesting is that the Amistad actually was built at Mystic Seaport. It's a replica of the 19th century slave ship that ended up in Connecticut after the Africans on board killed their captors. Today, Fox 61's Lynn Joliker was on board.
The sun is rising.
Let's go, all the way.
On a journey that will never end.
It is a touchstone, something you can physically get the connection between that historical story and the contemporary concept that everyone has human rights.
Take up the burden.
The Amistad's crew of 12 isn't only manning the rigs, they're raising awareness about the plight of 53 Africans who killed their Spanish captors on the original Amistad in 1839. They were captured in Long Island Sound. Tried for murder in Connecticut, authorities freed them after learning they were kidnapped to be sold as slaves in Cuba. Today is truly a recreation of history, not just because the Amistad is being unveiled here in Connecticut, but you can see the Coast Guard Eagle is leading us into New London. 160 years ago, the USS Washington led the Amistad from Long Island Sound up the Thames after the mutiny.
Oh, I think this is really very, very significant.
Amistad America will operate the vessel as a sailing classroom. Dan Bregman joined the crew after helping build the ship.
We need to get them while they're young, get kids on board and teach them the story and basically, try to eliminate ignorance.
Students will perform internships living and working on a New Haven-based vessel.
As a person who came from the South through the whole bit of segregation, this just means a lot. And being from New London means a lot.
It's a reflection of our past, turned into a shining example of hope. Lynn Joliker, Fox 61 News at 10.
Thank you, Lynn. The state of Connecticut pumped $2.5 million into the building of the Amistad. That's how much it cost to build the Amistad. Today, one legislative leader was on board to experience the results firsthand, and he says it was money very well spent.
Being involved with the Amistad was another opportunity to cause another educational tool to be used to teach our youngsters, and not only our youngsters, but as well adults who are interested in the history of this country.
So much more to learn about really all of the vessels in OpSail 2000, but certainly about the Amistad. Lynn Joliker told us a lot about it just a few moments ago.
And someone who knows so much about the Amistad is the captain of that beautiful vessel. We are pleased to welcome Bill Pickney to our studios here on State Pier. As loud as they get, we're enjoying ourselves tonight. We know that the Amistad has an educational purpose, and it was very historic, the original ship and the story of how they came over. But tell us, do tall ships have their own mystique besides the history? So many people came out today to see them in person.
Well, I think it's the opportunity for people to step back into the 19th century, to an era of high romance and high adventure on the seas. And this is one of the relatively few chances they'll get to see this many ships of this size. Now, these are the A-class vessels here, as well as some of the B and C smaller ones, but it's rare that you get a chance to see this many in one spot.
It is romantic.
Captain Lynn talked about this a little bit in her story, but I want to ask you again what it means to you, given the history of the ship, to be an African-American captain of the Amistad.
Well, I think it's an opportunity for the captain of this ship to take an individual spot in history, because this will only be done once. The maiden voyage, this particular ship has so much history, not just for people of African descent, but for America. It's part of our history, part of our heritage on human rights.
Captain, did you use old ways of constructing the ship to make sure that it actually was a true representation, a true replica?
Well, we're not trying to do a true replica. I mean, there's certain things we have to do. We have budgetary constraints. We also have manpower and talent constraints, because there aren't a lot of people who can build this kind of ship. So we use the modern methods to bring large logs down to the right size, but the old-fashioned methods to trim, fit, and size the pieces as they go together.
And how does she sail?
Fantastically, like a dream. It's like stepping back into the 19th century with a souped-up model of what they had back then.
Very quickly, let's just ask people who come out here to OpSail to see the Amistad, what will they see?
Well, they'll see really a replica of a cargo vessel. Amistad was not a slave ship. It was a cargo vessel that was just drawn into that temporary incident in the slave trade history. and you'll get a chance to see incredible workmanship. You'll get a chance to see a ship that there are very few like today, and to learn more from our display and the things we have to tell you about the whole story of Amistad, not the movie.
And which pier will we find her?
You'll find her on Amistad Pier, which is right where the site of the Amistad was brought in 1839.
That is fantastic. Captain Bill Pickney, thank you so much for joining us. We
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate your comments, and we look forward to seeing you during the rest of OpSail.
Thanks very much.